My communications, to be clear, in a Signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Well, we will make that determination, because if it's not classified, share the text with the committee.
CIA Director John Ratcliffe there, just among the several Trump administration officials on the Hill today. Also, Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. It was a pre-scheduled hearing on threats, but of course, the use of Signal and the discussion with an Atlantic reporter about the Houthi attacks now has taken up a lot of those conversations today. Pleased to bring in right now former NSC Chief of Staff Fred Fleitz, also a former CIA analyst and now a senior fellow at America First Policy Institute. Fred, it's great to have you today.
Good to be here.
Now, I know that you worked on handling classified presidential documents when you were at NSC Executive Secretary. So people are going really deep on Signal, whether or not it's permissible, and also whether or not, when you say war plans, we heard from Tulsi Gabbard and others saying there was nothing classified on this chain. So break it down. Can you use Signal? And if there's nothing classified here, is there actually anything to be concerned about?
Well, I think this is something that the Democrats are blowing out of proportion. I think this was a minor mistake. These things happened at the beginning of an administration. But from my experience at the NSC, these discussions did involve something that we would call confidential information, which is classified. And it should have been done only in a government service. It shouldn't have been done in a private service. I also believe that the use of Signal violates laws and regulations on federal records. Discussions like this have to be archived with the National Archive. You can't use private services to get around that. I think some things were said this morning. They're not exactly right. But at the end of the day, this is an understandable mistake by a new administration. It won't happen again. And I don't think there were war plans on this. But I don't buy the argument that Signal is permissible for high-level officials to discuss possibly going to war. Those discussions are at least confidential. That means they're classified.
Let's put a little bit more on Ratcliffe today on the use of Signal as well during the hearing.
So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
That clears it up as far as what Ratcliffe is saying. Obviously, we'll see what measures or changes are.
It doesn't actually. The fact that the Biden administration did it doesn't mean it's right or it's legal. That's not an acceptable response. If I was in the government as an official, I wouldn't use Signal for any official communications.
Well, just Ratcliffe's side saying it was installed on his phone when he came over.
Well, if that's true, that doesn't make it right. The fact that the Biden CIA was doing something that violated records laws and security laws doesn't mean the Trump administration should do that. Look, I hope I'm wrong, but that's just not the way I see it.
Yeah, and Ratcliffe obviously pressed on that, and that was what he wanted to articulate, that it was put on his phone when, obviously he came in. Now, let's talk about Mike Waltz. Obviously, President Trump is standing by him, says he's learned a lesson, and it's learned now. There's information reporting that he accidentally added Jeffrey Goldberg. I mean, of all the reporters to add, that's another question here. Do you have any comment on that, Fred?
But I think the NSC handled this exactly right. They said, hey, we made a mistake. That's what you do. When you make a mistake, you own up to it, and you say, look, we're going to do better. There's going to be mistakes, especially as the new administration comes about. I think Waltz is an honorable guy, and I'm very happy he's got security.
There's a lot of threads coming in about, Benghazi, private servers, Hillary Clinton. You want to weigh in on that? Because that is a big topic of discussion today.
Well, Hillary Clinton launched a deliberate effort to evade records laws and classification laws. That's not what this was. This was set up, and as Ratcliffe said, it was put on